Hey guys, this is Wen. Kind of filming this in my closet. I have done this before. This is gonna be kind of a personal video and also kind of like a little thing that I want to do on my YouTube where I kind of share my experience on being trans. And if you didn't know I was trans, I'm trans. Just kind of sharing information and experiences on being trans and, you know, just provide some helpful information. I kind of want to voluntarily contribute to doing that and to help out other people who were in my position a couple years ago and who weren't able to realize what the heck they were, gender-wise. To those who don't know what trans is being assigned a gender and kind of realizing that you're not the gender that you were assigned with. In my case, I'm a trans man. That means I was assigned a girl at birth, but then I came to realize I'm not a girl. I am a guy. And I have showed many signs as a kid of not being comfortable being seen as a girl, and only just a couple years ago did I really take action in it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the introduction to how I came to find out that I was trans. First off, hello, my name is Wen. I am 18 years old. I was born on April 1st, 1997. I'm half Chinese and half Irish. My mom's the Chinese and my dad's the Irish. I was born in Wellington, Florida, and I've always moved around my whole life. I never kind of stayed in one place for too long. The last place that I lived in for a long time was for 10 years, and that was in a little town called Port St. Lucie. And then just a couple years ago, my parents decided to move to Miami for better business opportunities, and here I am now. I didn't realize I was trans until a couple years back. I didn't even know what the term trans meant until a couple years ago. Like, basically, when I was a kid, I was a super tomboy, so I always liked to dress in baggy clothes. I never wore skirts. Didn't like it. When I used to go to private school for a couple years, like, the girls would have to wear these dresses and then the guys would wear shorts, and like, I try to always wear shorts all the time. Like, I just refused to wear dresses. It wasn't my thing. I never liked wearing dresses. When I was a kid, I have showed some signs that I wasn't comfortable in the gender that I was assigned in. When it got to middle school, I was still kind of tomboyish up until 7th grade. That's when I kind of started to get really curious about who I was. There was like a trend kind of going around in my town, at least in my town that I think, when I was in 7th grade, where girls would like dress up as guys and they would like go to the mall and see like the reactions they'd get. I remember seeing that going around, and I kind of looked at this picture and I was like, wow, I really want to do that too, you know? And I was really interested in it, to the kind of like past the point of just being like, oh wow, that's cool, to the point of like, wow, I really want to do it. I remember being like self-aware of how enthusiastically I was kind of reacting to it, to the point where I was like, do I actually want to be a guy? I remember while still in 7th grade, I was searching up on Wikipedia surgeries on how to get a ding dong. I still didn't know what being trans was. I didn't know there was a term for it back then. I didn't know any of this. I just was looking at like surgeries if there's any way for me to be seen as a guy. 7th grade, 12 years old me. And then after 7th grade, when it got to 8th grade, that's when I started to dress up and try to act more feminine. I kind of just took 7th grade me as like, it was like a phase or something, you know, like I wasn't taking myself seriously. So in 8th grade, I actually, you know, wore eyeliner, try to wear more feminine clothes. When I got to high school, like 9th grade to 11th grade, I strictly dressed femininely, always had a full face and makeup on. A lot of people, for some reason, think that trans guys, they were lesbians before they realized they were trans, and that wasn't true in my case, and I don't think that should really be assumed out of trans guys, because when I was in 9th grade, I actually thought I was asexual. Like, I had no interest in ever dating, no interest in like sex, like that just wasn't my thing. When I got to 11th grade, junior year of my high school, I then started to identify as pansexual, but I still never dated anyone. But I was okay with dating anyone. Like, I didn't have a preference, and I still identify as pansexual to this very day. I never dated girls back then. I always dated guys, but then again, I didn't date a lot of guys. I only dated like 3. Not a lot. I wasn't into dating. But yeah, then when I got to senior year of my high school, I still dressed femininely, but when I got to the fall season, I started to identify as agender, which is someone who doesn't identify with any gender. I knew I wasn't a girl. I knew, like, but I wasn't confident enough to say I was a boy either, so it was just like, I didn't know what else to do, so I just identified as agender just for that moment. My first name that I wanted to go by was Kai, but then after about a month or 2, I changed it to Wen, or just, you can call me Wen too, that's fine. But that's based off of my Chinese name that my mother gave me, and and 12th grade was also the first time I came across the term trans. So I did some research into what being trans is, and I came to a conclusion that I am a trans guy. As soon as I figured that out, I immediately printed a couple reference pictures of different guy hairstyles, and I went to a hairstylist in South Beach, got 18 inches of my hair cut off. I have never regretted my hair being cut off. It felt amazing. Like, it felt like I was finally, you know, figuring myself out. As soon as, you know, I got my hair cut, it immediately was a new chapter in my life. And I knew that after that, I was moving forward. As soon as I turned 18, I was very smart with how I wanted to start my transition. Actually, my transition technically started as soon as I got my hair cut off, but like actually getting into the hormones. When I got to the spring season, right after my birthday, after I turned 18, I immediately went to the bank. I already owned my own debit card, so I already had my own bank account. So what I did was I actually signed up for my first credit card within the first week or 2 of me turning 18. I did this for safety reasons because I wasn't sure how my parents were going to react if I ever did decide to come out to them, especially my mother. I do not have a really good relationship with my mother. Like, our relationship is either neutral or really bad. Like, there's never any good parts with our relationship. So I knew, like, if something was to happen, like worst case scenario, I got kicked out of the house, I would, as long as I had my credit cards, I would have money to be able to find somewhere else to stay for, you know, find somewhere else to stay temporarily. So as soon as I turned 18, I made my own bank account that was not connected to any of my parents, got my own credit card. One of my fellow classmates is a trans woman, so thank God they actually helped me with getting a good therapist in order to start to get my hormones. So they gave me the contact information for the therapist. I called her up, set up my first appointment for May. And yeah, I only had to do about 5-6 sessions of my therapy until she decided to officially diagnosed me with gender dysphoria and to write my letter to give to the endocrinologist to get my hormones. I'm super fortunate to have a very open therapist, especially someone who is really, who understands, you know, someone who understands of how much, like, hormones will better my life. She even wanted to know if there was anything specific I want to add to the letter for her to write in, and gave me a final draft before she was to send it to the endocrinologist. I was really, really lucky. So my therapist recommended me to go to this endocrinologist, which, by the way, this endocrinologist was also super, super cool. once again, I'm super lucky. The only problem with this process was trying to get an appointment with her. Like, I tried to call the college to get an appointment with her, and every time I mentioned that I'm calling for my gender dysphoria and to get like hormones for it, I could hear the other person on the line going silent and be like, oh, okay, we'll see if there's any spots available. And then they'll come back to be like, oh, sorry, they're booked for this. Can we just set you up for, you know, next month? It took me 7 calls in order just to get one appointment for next month. And then when the next month got there, they called me again saying that they need to push it back another month. So this whole process of just trying to get one appointment after I got the approval with my therapist took about 3 to 4 months just to get one appointment. It was really ridiculous, and I actually told my endocrinologist as soon as I got to see her for the first time. I told her about my experience with it, and she was like, oh my god, honestly, like, here, just take my card, message my personal email, and I'll just set up the appointment for you. I was trying not to cry about it because that was like such a kind thing. I knew she really cared about how urgent I wanted, you know, the hormones. Since then, after she gave me a card, when I got her personal email and messaged her about it, like the appointment the next day, the front office would be like, hey, just want to confirm that this appointment is. I'm just like, dang. I just contact her now personally by email, and the appointment is made like the next day pretty much. It only took about 2 to 3 visits for me to actually start the hormones. First visit, she was basically kind of overgoing the effects of what testosterone does and if I really want to do this, because she has told me personal stories that she's had with her patients. Some of them don't have as much knowledge as to what most of the side effects are to tea, and they don't like it, and they, you know, get off of it. Basically just told me all of that, and I told her like, no, this is what I want. I'm sure this is what I want. Second appointment, she took blood tests, and third appointment, I signed all the papers. There's basically like 10 pieces of paper, front and back, and you gotta put your initials on 3 times on each sheet, sign my initials on it, and then that's when she gave me the prescription to get my testosterone. I got my testosterone at a local CVS. It came with the syringes, the needles, and the testosterone itself in the little bottle. Then when I got my first shot, I did it at the hospital, so the nurse was showing me how to like do self-injection and stuff like that. Yeah, now here I am. I know how to self-inject now. I mean, I'm still kind of iffy with the needle and stuff, but I can do it if I like. It's not as bad as it might sound, because you know, like needles, self-injection, putting into your leg, like, you know, it doesn't sound that great, but really it's not as bad, and it's really quick, and it doesn't hurt at all for me. And I'll actually be posting a video very soon on how to self-inject, so hopefully that will also help you guys out there who are really nervous about it. It's basically kind of my story on me figuring out I was trans and stuff like that. Yeah, here I am now talking to a camera. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. I'm not used to really putting out my personal stuff out online where thousands of people can see it. But honestly, thank you so much for just taking your time to watch this, especially if you're trans. I hope this somehow helped in some form. Next week, I have to do another self-injection in my leg, so I'm gonna post a video on how to do that. Not as scary as you think, I promise. I swear to gosh. Unless you're like super scared of needles, then it's not as bad as you think. Trust me, cross my heart. Hope to, I don't want to die, but cross my heart. And okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to continue doing this kind of stuff, talking more about my experiences. Yeah. So, bye.